In this video, I'm going to share with you the essence of improving your brain power. First of all, I got a question for you. What does brain power represent to you? Right? And for you, it could mean something different from what I'm about to share with you. It might mean different from your friends and family, but it's really clear, it's really important to understand what brain power represents to you. Because the term brain power itself is quite all-encompassing. And there's kind of like 5 key elements when it comes to brain power itself. And the first element is mental endurance. Mental endurance is your ability to sustain your focus, to stay in focus, and also to sustain your performance, even through all the distractions that are happening around you and the challenges you might face along the way. And when I'm talking about challenges, I'm referring to both the external challenges in your environment or in the situation and internal challenges related to our emotions, the overwhelm that we might feel, the anxieties we might feel, the nervousness, right? Those are internal challenges, or the doubts as well. Those are internal challenges. And so your mental endurance is the ability to sustain your focus even through those challenges. The second element is emotional intelligence. And this is an intrapersonal skill, right? Because a lot of the times in my channel, I release videos on communications, articulations, public speaking. Those are interpersonal skills. Inter meaning between people, right? Intrapersonal skills, intra means within. So emotional intelligence is an intrapersonal skill, which means that it's a skill within you. So emotional intelligence is then your ability to manage or control your emotions, right? Because that doesn't involve other people outside of you. It's within you, controlling your emotions, managing your emotions. That's emotional intelligence. Even the most intense emotions, right? The anger we might feel, how livid we are, right? The overwhelming anxiousness or nervousness, those are intense emotions, frustrations included. And so emotional intelligence is our ability to manage all of those as well. And when we manage it, the purpose of emotional intelligence is so that our actions could come from a more rational decisions. Because rather than making decisions that are so driven by intense emotions, we're making decisions and our actions are driven by rational choice. And this is the frontal cortex of the brain, right? The area behind your forehead, that is the frontal cortex, right? So that is emotional intelligence. The next element to mental prowess, brain power, is learning prowess. And this is your ability to obtain and retain vast amounts of information. And then you subsequently turn that information into a really deep understanding. That's learning prowess. The next element of brain power is memory retention. And this is the ability to recall vast amounts of information, that information that we learned, and we can recall it. And we can recall it over time, even months or years after we first learned it. That is memory retention. Then finally, the other element to brain power is skills mastery, right? And this is really the purpose of learning. We learn not just to know things, right? That's not the purpose of learning. It's not just to know a bunch of things or to have a bunch of information in our heads. The purpose of learning is to achieve mastery in it. So essentially, we are developing skill sets. So skills mastery is the ability to be able to execute with minimal mental resources on that skill. So let's say, for example, the skill that you're focusing on is public speaking, your ability to communicate effectively, your thoughts, your ideas, right? Your expertise, the value you have to bring, that's a skill. So if you have achieved mastery in that communications, it means that you are able to communicate without that intense amount of effort. Because in the beginning, when you're learning a skill set, it takes a lot of concentration, a lot of mental resources just to do a skill when you are learning it, when you haven't mastered it yet. But once you've mastered it, it becomes second nature, and therefore minimal use of mental resources. That is skills mastery. So you see, when people think about brain power, most people immediately think about intelligence, scholastic intelligence, and learning ability. That's what most people think about. So I want to hear from you. Comment below. Which one do you think of when you hear the term brain power? What do you automatically think of? Is it scholastic intelligence, like book smarts, right? Is it learning prowess? Is it memory retention? Is it skills mastery? Comment below. What do you think about when you hear the term brain power? Right? The truth is, our brain is capable of so much more than that. It's capable of so much more than intelligence, like raw intelligence. It's capable of so much more than just memory retention. In fact, your brain is performing in arenas outside of that every single day. We are called in our life, in our career path, we're called to do so much more than intelligence allows us to do. We're capable of becoming so much more than our cognitive intelligence allows us to become. The real reason we seek to improve our brain power is because we want to achieve greater success. Isn't that true? The essence of what we're trying to do here is to produce a better quality of life. In fact, we want to have the best life experiences we can have. We want to experience life in the most inspiring and passionate ways, a quality of life that we truly desire. That's the essence of what we're trying to achieve. But what causes some people to reach the pinnacle of success does not necessarily require scholastic intelligence, the traditional aspect of what brain power is scholastic intelligence. And success does not necessarily require that. And I can prove it to you because, as you know, there's countless examples of people all around the world who have amassed great success, right? Great wealth in so many industries all around the world, business, career, athletics, entertainment, you name it. They have achieved great success without having gone through formal education, right? Formal education is the arena in which we're demonstrating scholastic intelligence, right? Like, for example, me, I've gone through all the way to a PhD and I have demonstrated scholastic intelligence, but success does not necessarily require it. But of course, well, that depends on your personal definition of success as well, right? So what does success mean to you? How do you personally define success according to what you truly value, not according to what you believe you should do, or definitely not according to what others, authorities in your life, authority figures or institutions have told you what the definition of success is? How do you genuinely define it? Right? So if you agree that success in life, depending on how you define it, does not necessarily require that formal education, the scholastic intelligence. If you agree with that, then I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Right? Ring that bell below as well so you can be notified every time I release a new video. And if you're not sure you agree, subscribe anyway, because every single week, twice a week, I release a new video on this topic and others as well that really take your thinking to other levels, right? To help you to really formulate clarity so that you can make the best decisions that are in your best interest. You see, no matter what success means to you, right, there are 5 steps to increase your brain power. And when I say brain power, I'm talking about those all-encompassing, those 5 things I shared with you earlier. So there's 5 steps to increasing your brain power. Step number 1 is to step out of what's familiar to you. You see, most of our lives we spend working towards things that we feel we should work towards. We've been satisfying perhaps other people's values, satisfying other people's definition of what success is, right? Building someone else's dream. And this is where internal reflection, having that self-awareness is really important, right? Oftentimes, we're not sure why we made certain decisions. It kind of just happened by default. We kind of just stumbled into it. We kind of just thought, well, that might be a good thing to do. Let me just see where this goes, right? And then therefore, years pass by, months turn into years maybe sometimes turns into decades. And we have what we call, this is familiar. I'm familiar with this routine. I'm familiar with this career path. I'm familiar with this lifestyle. I'm familiar with these habits. I'm familiar with these day-to-day. And you see, familiar is where we feel comfortable because we know exactly what's going to happen. But that's the maximum in which you will have, is that familiarity, that comfort. And so therefore, in that zone of sameness, in that zone of comfort, we might feel unfulfilled. We might desire something different. We might desire to do more, to have more, to be more, right? To experience more in life, to have a greater quality of life. We might have these desires. And so for the first step, how do you increase your brain power? It's stepping out of what's familiar. And that is necessarily scary because you've never done that before, especially if you've never done that before. It might be scary. And so that's why that leads me to the second step. And that is to step around the wall of doubt. Doubt, self-doubt, doubting that it's going to work for you, doubting that this is the right step, doubting that it's going to work out well. All of these doubts happen because our brains are so focused on what we are familiar with. And therefore, when we are about to do something different, embark on something that is more meaningful, it's new and we have doubts. And so step around the wall of doubt. Instead of focusing on so much on the undesirable outcomes, what are outcomes you do desire? What if the possibility is 50-50 What if the possibility is in your favor? What if the chances are in your favor that you can achieve those outcomes? Step around the wall of doubt. And step number 3 is to step into an amplified identity, right? Who do you need to become in order to have what you desire to have? Because in order to have what you desire to have, you must do something. Success comes at a price. Even however you define it, that success comes at a price. But it's called a blessing because the price you pay does not exceed the payout that you have. So what you pay into it, the price you pay, when you achieve that outcome, it far outweighs the price that you have paid into it. And so that's why it's called a blessing. But who do you desire to become? You must first do something to have what you have. But you might not be able to do what's necessary until you become the person who is able to do it. So design that identity. Who do you need to be? Design it. It is in the becoming. That's the first step, right? And then step number 4, step up your beliefs. Because it doesn't matter what is true. It only matters what you believe to be true. Because with work, that will also become true. It's that saying that what you believe, either way, you are right. Because when you believe something, it becomes your entire experience of life. So what do you believe? And be careful about what you have been believing. And step number 5, step from a mindset of a visionary. If you don't have a vision, you won't know what you're working towards. If you don't know what you want, you don't have a vision. And the emotion that comes out from not having a vision is confusion. How do I know which way to go? How do I know this is what I want? How do I know it's going to work out in the end? Without a vision, we have confusion. So one of the most important keys to success is owning the outcome you desire before you even know the path, right? So the 5 steps into increasing your brain power. Number 1, step out of what's familiar to you. Step number 2, step around the wall of doubt. Step number 3, step into an amplified identity of who you need to become. Step number 4, step up your beliefs because your beliefs create your entire experience of life. And step number 5, step from a mindset of a visionary so that you know exactly which direction to go and you can take ownership of the result in your life before you even know the path.